with himself and KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi around his reasoning thereafter. But he says he abused his powers by issuing the instruction without consulting them.
To go further to say disband, but then after saying disband, then you go further to say now, not even tomorrow. I think that is totally encroachment into the mandate of the National Commissioner in terms of performance of my duty.
The National Assembly has once again moved the date for the tabling of the medium-term budget policy statement to January next year. 2025 has been an unusual year for the country's budgeting process after the national budget tabling was also postponed earlier this year. Following consultations with Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana, the midterm budget will be delivered a month before the tabling of the national budget for the new financial year. Lindsay Dentlinger explains the rescheduling.
3 attempts at tabling a national budget that was eventually passed by both houses of parliament at the end of July has now also thrown out the tabling of the adjustments budget. Traditionally tabled in October, it's an opportunity for the finance minister to make revisions to estimates on which the fiscal framework is based and to allocate additional money where needed. Speaker Toko Didiza says it was explained to Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana that if he were to table the medium-term budget policy statement in November as per his request, Parliament would not meet the time frames prescribed in law to go through the process before it rises in December.
We can't also compromise our own processes as Parliament that we must undertake in dealing with this medium budget policy statement as well as the adjustments on the appropriations.
Didiza says the decision to move the tabling to the 13th of January next year is in the interest of protecting parliamentary processes so they are neither compromised nor rushed. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
The state says its investigation into the fatal shooting inside the Wynberg Magistrates Court is at an advanced stage. 5 suspects linked to the April murder of Moya Qinso are currently behind bars and are expected back in court in November. Shireen Matthews, Abubakar Adams, Brian Boyson, Wene Farao and Wisani Zengeto are all accused of having a hand in the brazen courthouse attack. Prosecutors believe Matthews is the mastermind who orchestrated the hit. Ndutuzela Nene has more.
The prosecution team says the investigators are still downloading cell phone data that will help strengthen its case against the alleged members of the Junkie Funky Kids gang. The state believes that on the day of Qinso's murder, alleged mastermind Shireen Matthews called her co-accused Brian Boyson for him to organize guns. It's also the state's case that during phone conversations between the pair, Matthews instructed Boyson to get Adams and Zengetwa to carry out the hit. The prosecution is also confident that Matthews is the one who requested an e-hailing service car that is apparently seen on video footage dropping and picking up Boyson and the hitman in front of the Wynberg Magistrates Court on April 8th. The case has been postponed to November 20th to allow the state to wrap up its investigation. Ndutuzela Nene, Eyewitness News.
Operation Dudula says the law must take its course after the EFF opened a case against it for allegedly causing the death of a 1-year-old child by blocking his Malawian mother from accessing a clinic. Last week, Grace Banda says members of Operation Dudula prevented her from entering the Alexandra clinic to get help for her sick child. The Gauteng Health Department is investigating the matter. Operation Dudula's leader, Zandile Dabula, has previously said none of the organization's members were stationed at the clinic on the day of the incident.
Remember, at that time, I responded because there was no case opened against me. But now that there is a case, let's just respect that. Let the law take its course. Investigation must be done, and we'll see what the outcomes will be.
The Independent Financial Advisors Forum has raised concern over what it calls an unlawful and irregular medical aid broker tender process by the city of Tshwane. The forum says the Metro is violating workers' rights by continuing with its plan to appoint a single medical aid broker for employees. In a statement released yesterday, it says members of medical aid schemes have the right to choose their brokers and an employer cannot impose this on staff. Spokesperson Njabulo Majola says they've warned the Metro that going ahead with the move could undermine efforts of transformation.
If the city proceeds with the tender, this will be in gross violation of the inherent rights of the employees of the city who are members of medical aid schemes. IFF has a duty to remind the city that it has no legal right to usurp the inherent rights of members.
And in Southeast Asia, thousands of people have been evacuated in the Philippines as a super typhoon, described by regional authorities as potentially catastrophic, made landfall in the country's northern region. Super typhoon Ragasa, packing wind gusts of up to 230 kilometers per hour, made landfall today, with the country's weather authority warning it's expected to barrel west towards southern China. The Philippine Weather Bureau says Ragasa brings a high risk of life-threatening storm surge, and officials have warned of widespread flooding and landslides, as well as damage to homes and infrastructure. Gold's trading at $3,726.08 an ounce. The rand's at 17.28 to the dollar, at 23.32 to the pound, at 20.35 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $66.68 a barrel.
Germiston, slow-moving traffic. This is on the N3 southbound between the Geldenes interchange and Elands due to an earlier accident. Also driving through Calvin, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic. N3 northbound between Marlborough Drive and the Butler interchange. And finally in Erasmus Park, we're still dealing with that accident scene. N1 northbound before Rigel Avenue, slowing down traffic from Boeta Avenue.
I'll look at your weather. Clear skies in Gauteng this afternoon. Temperatures are peaking at highs between 27 and 30 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour. National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola claims that the decision to issue an instruction to disband the political killings task team was an encroachment on his powers by Police Minister Senzo Mchunu.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Relebogile Mabotja.
Live, streaming countrywide
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856
92.7
and 106 FM.
Minutes after 1 o'clock. Welcome to 7:02 Afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja, on this Monday, the 22nd of September. I hope you had a beautiful, beautiful weekend, and I hope you also gave yourself a bit of a break, guys. I feel like I have news fatigue. In particular, I have American news fatigue. We are tired. We are so tired. Like, I have fatigue from the many things that are going on. But yes, apparently we have interesting candidates coming through for the role of Joburg mayor. I think it's my time to shine, because everybody seems to have had a turn at being Joburg mayor, but me. So, are you guys going to vote for me if I put myself out there for Joburg mayor? Coming up on the show, as we do on a Monday, I want to find out from all of you, how do you measure? What do you look at to say this neighborhood is a good neighborhood? Is it service delivery? Is it potholes or lack thereof? Like, what do you look at to say, okay, this is a good neighborhood? Movies and what to stream. Adelaide Moyeng will join us, founder of Movies and Stuff. Do let us know from your side what your recommendations are for us to be watching. The travel feature, we're joined by Iga Matilska to talk part 2 of the best ways to save money while traveling. She's the founder of eagerjourneys.com. And then the second hour of the show, our parenting and parents feature. Ooh, this is a big one. What happens to boys when men behave badly? And I really hope to hear from all the parents of boys and, of course, of men too. We'll be joined by Jaco van Skalkwyk, founder of the Character Company. And then we wrap up with Dr. Chris Smith, the naked scientist, as he takes all of your science-related questions. So get in touch. 011-883-0702. SMS us 31702. Tweet at Relebogile M, at Radio 702, using the hashtag 702 Afternoons, and the WhatsApp line 072-702-1702.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabotja
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
A big shout out to Stokes on X, who inspired this conversation we're having today about a good neighborhood. So what for you is the measure of a good neighborhood? Especially if we think about the fact, right, where that conversation we're having last week and we're saying the biggest decision and influence on who your child is going to become is the environment you choose. So what for you is a good neighborhood? What makes a good neighborhood? What are the signs that you say, ooh, this is a good neighborhood? I had to think about it, and can I tell you what makes me say a neighborhood is a good neighborhood? If I can see a woman walking or running by herself without a weapon on her, I would say it's quite a decent neighborhood, because those are the things I look at. Like, can you comfortably, voluntarily go outside as a woman? I also look at the fact that when you see mothers or even nannies pushing kids on a pram outside during the day to get some sun, that for me is a good neighborhood. I would say where there's no service delivery, where you can see rubbish all over the place, I would not measure that as a good neighborhood. Oh, also a park where you're not scared to walk into. You know, there are parks where you're like, if you go in there, Shem, you better pray for your life. That for me also is the measure of a good neighborhood. Some people say no gunshots heard throughout the day. That, I would say, should be the standard neighborhood, but okay. Considering I grew up in Soshas and I remember hearing gunshots, not as nice as it used to be in Soshanguve. Another one says, if the parks and the gardens are well kept, minimal litter, illegal dumping, or vandalism. Oh, here's a big one. Are the street lights working? Are the street lights working or not? That for me is another sign. Another one is, are there trees and greenery like in that neighborhood? So what are the things you look at and measure? Because good neighborhoods in South Africa are sometimes defined by safety, quality of housing, and access to amenities. So you've got your suburbs like Sandton and Atlantic Seaboard, which are known for luxury homes and high levels of security, while the Northern Cape is considered the safest province due to lower crime rates and urban density. The irony, right, that I personally, would you consider Peter Sandton a good neighborhood? I feel like I wouldn't consider Sandton a good neighborhood for me, but I think this is personal preference. Like, there's certain neighborhoods that I feel like you're there to work. You're not there to relax. I can't imagine myself living in Sandton and being like, yo, I'm home, what a relief, relaxed. Not because I work in Sandton, but because for me, the places where I stay must not feel like an urban jungle of monies being needed and hard work and. So let me hear from you, 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 702. What is the measure of a good neighborhood? And then let us know which neighborhoods in South Africa you would say are good neighborhoods and why.
Unlock exciting bonus prizes when you top up your Betway account with a Betway Bucks voucher. From millions in cash and bonuses to extra bets and so much more, every top up is a chance to score big. Head over to leading retailers including Pick n Pay, Checkers, Pep Stores, and Incredible Connection and top up with Betway today. Terms and conditions apply. Betway is licensed and regulated by the Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board. No persons under the age of 18 are permitted to gamble. South African Responsible Gambling Program toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Winners know when to stop.
From the 21st to the 23rd of September, the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation is hosting the third G20 Research and Innovation Working Group, followed by the high-level G20 ministerial meeting at the CSIR International Convention Center, Pretoria. It will be a gathering of the world's brightest minds in science, technology, and innovation, sharing bold ideas for inclusive progress that drives sustainable development. Brought to you by the Department of Science, Technology, and Innovation. Hashtag making sure it's possible.
Oh, hello. Let's do a little word association. I'll say some phrases, you see how they make you feel. Retirement, credit card balance, another interest rate hike. Still calm? Well then, you've got the F Factor. It's that special something that comes from having a clear financial plan to manage and protect your finances. If you broke into a sweat, you probably don't have it yet. Visit livewithconfidence.co.za to up your F Factor. Sanlam. Live with confidence. T's and C's apply. Sanlam Life is a licensed life insurer and authorized FSP.
702 and corporates that care with Netcare are talking about Netcare's My Walk Made with Soul initiative.
This was an initiative that began in 2015, and a lady by the name of Delani Bezadenhout visited us and said, look, I hear Netcare is very involved in sustainability initiatives. Would you be interested in recycling your intravenous drip bags because they're made of a toxic material called PVC? And in passing, she said to me, possibly we could also make shoes. My appeal is that we've handed out 328,000 pairs of shoes. And so my appeal is for South Africans to get together and come onto our website, mywalk.org.za, and donate the cost of a cappuccino. Maybe you can donate 10 shoes.
Netcare, helping future leaders step into greatness. Visit mywalk.org.za to learn more. 702, let's walk the talk.
702 Afternoons
With Relebogile Mabotja. Call Relebogile
on 011
883
0702.
17 minutes after 1 o'clock, we are talking about good neighborhoods. What for you makes a neighborhood a good neighborhood? And what for you makes a neighborhood a bad neighborhood? We've chatted gunshots, and Peter in the news says, he says to me, I live in a bad neighborhood. I'm like, why do you say that? He's like, everything you said makes a good neighborhood. We don't have it in my hood. Everything. So women aren't walking by themselves without a weapon. People aren't like walking the child in a pram. Oh my God. Yo, guys, it is rough in South A. I saw one on my TikTok live that said, when the kids can go to school and come back safely at home and they can go outside and play safely. I mean, I'm not sure which neighborhoods you can do that in unless it's in those estates, which are high security controlled. But even then, like, you can't just leave them to go out because your neighbors will grapes your child. Like, they will just take your child. I'm too scared. Somebody says in Littleton, our lights only went on since Action SA took over from the DA. Okay. Another person says, drugs are my measure because I have two young boys. I look at the price per square meter of the properties there. Okay. Another one says, good neighborhood. How about no nightclubs, watering holes, no street racing, cut verges, no litter? Guys, where is street racing happening? The last time I remember street racing was when I was still living in Pretoria. And even when I was visiting, there's a road. I can't even remember the road, but it gets you towards the Zambezi side. I'll remember. On that road, they're racing. They were racing there, guys. Like during the traffic. Brendan Joburg says, where a neighborhood has a well-organized community association. Yes to that one. Your voice notes coming through on 072 702 1702.
Afternoon, Relebogile. Regarding good neighborhood, I happen to be in the wrong taxi that passes Savannah City. That's in Midval. So what a place. Where the bond side, there are two sides there. So people there in the taxi, as the taxi goes by, they were saying that Police left me at pocket 6, pocket 4. But I found the place clean, very clean. I had a feeling that that was a good neighborhood place. So I don't know if those who are staying in Savannah City can attest to that, Tabangi.
Hi, Relebogile to me here. So for me, firstly, in the neighborhood, I look at the gardens outside, right? The gardens, how well kept they are, and then the parks. Yeah, the parks must also be well taken care of. And then, of course, when people are walking around the streets, I take it as a safe neighborhood. Yeah.
Relebogile way. Well, outside community these days, outside a good community area. Kishuman, Relebogile, do you know that we've got shacks in Bryanston? When you are driving on Winnie Mandela Drive, when you look, driving towards Fourways, when you look on your right, behind Italy Tide, there's a community there of shacks.
Hi, Relebogile. This is Palani Mutale from Pretoria. A good neighborhood to me means there are no spaza shops in our suburb or in our area. One. Number two, it means that there are no kids playing soccer in the streets, which means that their parents can keep them indoors with whatever they want to do. Three is that there are street lights. Four is that, we live in peace. There could be security company like ADT at most of the corners without me having subscribed to one. But I see different ones under trees guarding us. That's a good neighborhood. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I would say if that neighborhood, or at least the houses in that neighborhood, were self-sufficient and relied as little as possible on the grid, I would say that is not just a good neighborhood, but it's a neighborhood that cannot be controlled and cannot be pushed around.
Hi, Relebogile. The street in Pretoria that you were thinking about is Voortrekker Road. On Sunday evenings, it's a road that takes you up to Wonderboom, south over the hill to Zambezi. They used to do street racing and dicing there. It's Marcellus from Midrand. Please don't ask me how I know that. Cheers, bye.
Marcellus, thank you for reminding me. This is what I love about 702 family. Guys, somebody will always remember, because even when I said Zambezi, I was thinking Montana's. Yeah, that's exactly where it is. To the person who said where people are living off grid and can't be controlled, I feel like you went so deep. So deep. Isn't that the ultimate, right? The absolute ultimate. So can I add another one that I would say makes a good neighborhood? I would say the turnaround time from you phoning emergency services to them arriving. Now, I have tested in my area. The police, let me start with security, and already the fact that there's security, security takes less than 3 minutes to show up at my house. Sometimes even 1 minute because they patrol that much. The police take not more than 5 minutes. Not more, they will be there. Have never had to call an ambulance, so I can't assess. But for me, the turnaround time from phoning emergency services, I would even add another one. How far is the hospital from there? And what is the state of the emergency room? Whether it's a private hospital, semi-private, or government hospital. What is the state and how far is it? How far do you have to travel? Not clinic, hospital. And the reason I'm so... Why are you laughing, Peter? Why are you laughing when I say not clinic? The reason I specify not clinic, guys, there's certain things you'll go to a public hospital for and they will send you to the clinic to say go to the clinic. There's certain things you'll go to the clinic for, and they will say you need to go to the hospital. I've heard those stories. Then you get to the hospital, right? Have you ever heard of the fact that sometimes there's no stock of even paracetamol? The prescription is enwamedzi. Go home and drink water. Stop laughing. Yo, guys, it's funny, but it's really not funny. Vusin Pretoria says, hi, Relebogile, it's Steve Biko Road. Even yesterday, there was a street race. Vusin Pretoria. Oh, yeah, Ghana Ford Tracker became that. Okay, afternoon, Relebogile, a good neighborhood. Where? In Mzansi. That description died a natural death way back in 1994, says Tabang. Okay, Lucas in Pretoria, hi.
Hi.
Yes, are they still racing?
They are still racing there today.
Ah.
I came from my daughter's place one Sunday afternoon, and I wanted to cross Ford Tracker. And then the traffic cops stopped me.
So what did the traffic cops say? Why did they stop you?
Because the people are racing.
So is it a legal race?
It is illegal racing, yeah.
It's illegal, but
and the Tshwane cops are doing nothing about it.
How? So okay, I'm so confused. So
Do
you're
yourself
saying,
a favor, come over one Sunday afternoon and you can watch it for yourself.
wait, but this is the part I'm not understanding. The traffic cop tells you not to cross because there's a race.
Yeah,
But the race
yeah.
is illegal.
Yeah.
What do you mean, Lucas? Please.
I had to wait for the race cars to go past, or the souped-up cars to go past, and then only they allowed me to cross the road.
I am so okay. We've got some homework to do because now we need to find out about this streetcar racing. Lucas, thank you so much. And I mean, Lucas is the second person to say they are still happening. One says street racing, William Nicol, which is now Winnie Mandela Drive, just after Danefern towards Deep Sloot. There's street racing there as well. My neighborhood, Meyersdal, is good, but lately the street lights and traffic lights are not working, and illegal racing takes place on the main roads at night. That is from Fifi. Nati says, what you say hurts me so deeply. Something in the suburb, it ticked all that you said in 10 years. Not many things are bad. I'm so struggling to read your message. My apologies. More of your voice notes on 072 702 1702.
Good afternoon. I read somewhere when you see lots of this mushrooming of churches, plenty in a neighborhood, that's a neighborhood to avoid. So, I think it's true. Once there's so many proliferation of this new kind of churches, that's a place to Roger Runberg.
Good afternoon, it's Chuck 702 on the issue of the most run suburb in Sandton. I believe Lonnie is the best when you compare in terms of just how clean it is, and the councillors all do it fully. We applaud him because of the great work he does when there's water issues, electricity issues. He jumps on it. He makes institutions like your Joburg City Council, your Joburg Water run around for fixing to ensure that these things are fixed within a timeline. There's a WhatsApp group for the community where constant updates are given. If you look into the streets, it's very clean and very secure. Well run by DA, and I must applaud.
But just imagine somebody saying, if there is boys playing soccer on the street, it's not a safe neighborhood. I mean, really? Aye, man. Aye. Hey, but sometimes when we get to that positions, we think our life is just good. So they are still playing on the street. And that's how they associate. Over again here.
Moferefere. Okay, that's not the person's name. I thought they were signing their name. A good neighborhood I see it with white-only houses like Stellenbosch. That means that there is peace. White symbolizes peace. Mo ferre o bonwa ke bo mix masala. I'm sorry. I can't translate that into English. It's just after 1:30. Time for your latest Eyewitness News headlines. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Relebogile. Good afternoon. National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola says Police Minister Zinzo Mchunu abused his powers by issuing the instruction to disband the political killings task team without consulting him and the KwaZulu-Natal top cop. Masemola is testifying at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry sitting at the Bridget Mabandla Justice College in Pretoria today. Masemola says Mchunu could have suggested the disbandment of the task team and initiated a conversation with himself and KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi around his reasoning after. The Richmond local municipality in KwaZulu-Natal has described its slain former municipal manager Busiso Stole as a dedicated public servant. Stole was killed allegedly for wanting to expose corruption in the municipality back in 2017. His murder case is now nearing an end with Sabelo Pewa, the man convicted of his killing, set to be sentenced tomorrow. And the National Health Laboratory Service has admitted that although it's processed more than 12,000 biopsy samples, it's still waiting for a final sign from pathologists. This means a number of cancer patients are still in the dark about their results. It's expected to barrel west. I beg your pardon. Those are the headlines. This Eyewitness News and more at 2 o'clock or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Take A Lot. Happy delivered.
Thanks, Relabs. Well, at this stage in the city of Tshwane, we're still dealing with that accident seen on the N1 northbound. This is in the Erasmus Park area. N1 north near Rigel Avenue, causing heavy delays from Huerta Avenue. There's also slow-moving traffic that's heading through Calvin Alex area. N3 northbound between Marlborough Drive and the Between Interchange. Also, bumper-to-bumper traffic in Germiston that's traveling towards Alberton. We had an accident seen on the N3 southbound. This is near the Ilans interchange, causing huge delays from the Geldenes interchange. And look out for those faulty traffic lights in Bryanston at Winnie Mandela Drive and Sloan. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Traffic is trafficking. The robots aren't AI, but more like an eye roll, and service delivery isn't. Delivering, but luckily Take A Lot is. Shop anything from beauty and sport to tech and toys at everyday low prices and get delivered to your door faster than you can get home, even when you take the back roads. A delivery so quick, the speed thrills. Halala with no limits, just the open road of happiness before you. Take A Lot, happy delivered.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
Helen Ziller, no surprises, I suppose, to this election. And what difference do you hope to bring to Johannesburg, not having lived in the city for a very long time?
Fire in my belly to stop the rot and to work with a really great team to turn it around. I concede a massively bloated administration, but for the budget, the extent and the size of Joburg's and the complexity of Joburg's, I'm going to bring in some real experts to help me analyze exactly where the problems are.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
The Gauteng Department of Environment, in partnership with the City of Tshwane Metropolitan Municipality, would like to encourage everyone in the province to embark on sustainable solutions to improve air quality. Together, they believe a healthier future is possible. Join in and help grow Gauteng together.
Let's count backward. 5. Insurance. 4. Pineapple. 3. Insurance. 2. Pineapple. 1. You're under. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
Check
Checkers Little Shop is back with 46 new minis. Get one free when you swipe and spend 200 Rand on deals like Omo Auto Washing Powder 3 kgs for 119.99 and Clover Bliss Double Cream Yogurt 1 kg, any two for 79 Rand. Plus, stand to win a trip to Legoland Dubai. Simply buy any 3 participating products and swipe your extra savings card to enter. Valid until Sunday at Checkers. T's and C's apply.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Let's just look at what SARS is trying to do here. Yes, the technology of crypto has been fast, but it looks like the revenue collectors is now catching up.
The idea behind this reporting framework is to provide for the automatic exchange of tax-relevant information on crypto assets, thereby extending the tax net and also ensuring that crypto gains are appropriately taxed.
Evadne Broncos.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show is brought to you by ABSA CIB, banking on local growth with Club Med South Africa to bring the first resort of its kind to the country, opening a new chapter for tourism and supporting growth in the hospitality industry. ABSA is a registered FSP. Your story matters.
WhatsApp Relebogile on 072 702 1702.
24 minutes to 2 o'clock. We'll be heading to movies and what to stream shortly. Some of your messages just around this conversation we've been having of what makes a neighborhood a good neighborhood. What do you look for to say, this is a good neighborhood? And we've spoken about so many things. Ishmael from Boksburg says, afternoon, Relebogile. In Joburg South around Basonia, in that area, as you drive on the road, there is a board written, beware of rabbits. I thought I'll see one rabbit running past the street, but I saw hundreds of rabbits playing on the street with peace. Now that's a good neighborhood. Ishmael, where is this in Basonia where there are rabbits? Just so we all know, guys, rabbits get eaten by people. It's in this economy where meat is expensive. Just saying. Lebo, for me, an active home owners association is one of my measures of a good neighborhood. I know it's difficult to assess before you actually live there, but in general, I think a neighborhood where people report issues, participate in resolving them, engage with the local councillor, attend meetings. We also have to make our neighborhoods good, and I'm in agreement with you. There was one message that I missed on my TikTok live where the person said their measure of a good neighborhood is if a fight breaks out and you see men standing up and stopping the fight. But I mean, I've seen that happen in other, not in inverted commas, not so good neighborhoods. Here are the last of, hey guys, you're so naughty. A good neighborhood is when you don't have an ANC council. Yo, guys, I'm looking forward to election time beginning of next year because it's going to get interesting. Here are your voice notes.
Hey, Relebogile. You know the same guy that's complaining about children playing on the streets. What he said about the security companies patrolling in the area was quite revealing as well. He says that he would like to see ADT patrolling, but then of course him not contributing a cent towards them doing their work. I mean, who's going to pay them then? Sure, no way. No. Something is wrong here. People are no longer paying for services and yet they expect them. Honestly now, sure. George in Pretoria.
Hi, Lebo. Tato here. Great show. I'm also texting to disagree. I want to live in a neighborhood where the kids can play soccer, rounders, gusha, whatever, on the street, ride their bikes on the street without fear of them either getting raped, as you called it, or getting hit by other cars, or whatever happens to kids nowadays. Actually, I would literally kill. Okay, maybe not. To be in a neighborhood like that is not in an estate, where kids can actually just play outside and it's okay. I thought that's what we all wanted for our kids. What is this of kids are in the house? I think it was called childline on that dude.
Thank you so much, Tato. Yeah, that is the dream, right? That the kids can play outside, man. I know we used to be mad that we couldn't all huddle around the TV to watch Kidio, but we miss that stuff. The fact that we were free to be outside, even in an estate. I don't think I would be comfortable to have my child just playing on the streets. And then, that is the dream. I'm in agreement with all of you. Thank you for your calls, your messages, and your voice notes.
702 Movies.
Time for movies and what to stream. We are joined by the founder of Movies and Stuff, Adelaide Moeng. Adelaide, happy Monday. Are you good?
Happy Monday. I'm very well, and yourself?
I am doing well, and I'm excited to jump into the first one.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of good series coming out, hopefully series that will last the test of time. There are a couple of series that have been getting cancelled a lot in the last few months, so it's tricky, but this is the life of cinema, TV, and all of these shows. So the first show that I would like to get into is called The House of Guinness. And The House of Guinness is actually dropping this week on the 25th of September. And it's actually based on the real life struggles of the dynasty that we know as, the Guinness beer that we know of, draft beer, I'm not sure, but it's actually based on that, and it's from the creators of Peaky Blinders. So yeah, it's a nice next new, hopefully hit show, period piece that we'll be getting from Netflix. Like I said, it is about the struggle of the brewery of Guinness, and essentially the main father, the patriarchal father who started Guinness, passes away in the show, and there are 4 siblings that are now basically fighting for the legacy of Guinness and who will run the actual company itself. Like I said, it is a period piece and it has a lot of great actors as well. It is an 8-part series, though, a little bit short for a period piece, but it is what it is. That is Netflix's latest format. But yeah, it's gonna have a lot of family feud, real life struggles, a look into the dynasty itself and how it started to where it was then and where it is now as well. It has a couple of people that we may be familiar with. It's got Jack Gleeson, which a lot of people may know him from Game of Thrones, and also it has James Norton as well from films like Joy, Little Life, Ex-Husbands. So it's a really good stacked show. I'm really hoping that it does really well. Like I said, I really enjoy period pieces and shows that are centered around stuff like this. So I'm really hoping it will do well. And like I said, it's coming out on the 25th of September on Netflix.
All right, then we've got Black Rabbit.
Right, so Black Rabbit, we've got Jason Bateman as well as Jude Law on this, and they are basically 2 brothers that are just, they're going through a lot. This is a new series as well on Netflix. We haven't seen Jude Law do some projects in a while, so it's good to see him back on our screens. And essentially this is a TV series.
The reason we haven't seen him acting is because he's been paying for cheating on his wife. But we're happy he's back.
I didn't want to say that. I really was trying my best to be so nice.
Infidelity is tiring. That's why he hasn't been able to work.
And expensive. Very, very expensive. But hopefully...
Now he's back.
Hopefully this helps with this very expensive situation that he's going through. But yeah, he is back on our screen. And essentially it is it's a crime drama thriller TV show. And like I said, Jason Bateman is brothers with Jude Law. Jude Law has an up-and-coming great restaurant/club spot in New York, and it's becoming one of the most successful spots in New York. Things are going great, things are looking up, but your one brother who always causes trouble now comes back into your life, and now you have to help solve his problems, but now his problems become your problems, and now they have to navigate these problems together. So definitely something to look forward to as well. And I love when Jason Bateman gets into these very gritty, dark roles. Like, we all know him as a funny guy, but I still stand by the formula of a comedian is always the best person to get to play roles that are a bit darker, very serious, very psychologically, fighting himself and his own struggles. So I think we'll get a really, really good performance out of the 2 of them. That is on Netflix. It came out already, but it's been getting really great reviews. So definitely go and watch it if you're looking for something, something new to try out.
All right, Wayward.
Right, so Wayward is also, the psychological dramas are coming out in rapid time. So Wayward is a new TV show that's also coming out this week. It's coming out on the 25th of September on Netflix as well. It's being led by Toni Collette, who I love this woman's performances on almost everything that she does. She never misses. She's got this thing that she does in her acting where she's so unsettling but so captivating at the same time. And so Wayward is a show about a lovely camp program that happens in this lovely town, and she's basically leading the camp. And it's where you take your troubled teens to go solve their problems, find community. You know, people have a lot of troubled teenagers and they need a sense of community. But you as a parent, you're thinking you're sending your child there to receive help, but it turns out to be something very sinister, unlike something you've ever seen before. So definitely psychological thriller to definitely go and look out for. So far, very good reviews as well. So please definitely go and look out for that. It also stars Patrick J. Adams, who we all know from Suits. So yeah, that's definitely something that we should look out for.
All right, I'm excited for this one because without even knowing what it's about, the fact that you have Leonardo DiCaprio, you have Sean Penn, you have Benicio del Toro, Regina Holt, Tiana Taylor. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean?
The Oscar buzz around this movie is so good. And it's so funny because just looking at the cast alone, you forget what is going on. They've been doing a lot of press junkets as well. So good all over the world. It's called One Battle After Another. The film is called One Battle After Another. It's coming out on the 26th of September this week. And like you said, the cast is so stacked. It's actually a film by Paul Thomas Anderson, and he is also known for really good films like The Master. And, you know, the film itself is actually about revolutionaries. They are people that, you know, live off the grid. They have their own lives. And so this particular guy who is played by Leonardo DiCaprio, he is essentially trying to find his child who was kidnapped by his nemesis. As you guys know, revolutionaries live very wild lives and they do all kinds of things. And so in this film, he's trying to, number one, find his child, but also still trying to also fight for the cause. And there's a lot of, you know, different themes that are touched on: family, psychological issues, family struggles, you having to deal with your own demons as well as what's happening in the real world, and also just, you know, being a parent and still trying to navigate life as it is. Very good reviews so far. Like I said, it's getting some Oscar buzz, so that for me is enough to guarantee that it will be a great film to go and look out for. It's actually in cinemas. It's not on streaming platforms yet, but I'm sure it will be in the next few months. But so far, so good. Like you said, Regina Hall, Tiana Taylor, Sean Penn as well is in there. I don't even, it's like they brought everybody in there. But so far, so good. Really, really great reviews. I cannot wait to go and look out for that. I'll probably watch it on like a half-price Tuesday or Wednesday.
All right. We've gotten a voice note. Let's take a listen.
Hi, Relebogile, Nani here. Interesting things to watch. Something that I discovered after watching the Emmys, a series called The Pit, which is on Showmax, basically about doctors in an emergency room situation and their day-to-day living in their work situation. Very interesting, especially watching as a South African where our public health system is in shambles. So seems to be a general theme throughout the world.
Thank you so much, Noni. We've heard such great things about The Pit. And I just feel like anything medical, police, legal, they will never tire because we'll always absolutely enjoy watching those types of shows. Thank you so much.
Calling all wedding planners and venues, restaurants, conference centers, and hotels. Do you need tables and chairs? Home in One has it all. Do you need cutlery, crockery, table linen, and restaurant equipment? Home in One has it all. Do you need tents, gazebos, or umbrellas? Home in One has it all. Affordable prices, the latest trends, with 2 branches in Pretoria and Johannesburg. Shop online at homein1.co.za because we're your #1 choice. Home in One has it all.
This is Jade. She'll spend hours comparing almond milk and once made a spreadsheet just for sneakers. But when she found Santam, SA's leading short-term insurer that offers a range of cover options from vehicle to building and home contents, even she didn't overthink it. The kind of freedom Santam gives you take some getting used to. Speak to your broker. Santam, this is freedom. Santam is an authorized FSP, a licensed non-life insurer and controlling company for its group companies.
It's a global stage for science, technology, and innovation, live from Pretoria. The third G20 Research and Innovation Working Group and G20 Ministerial happens tomorrow. Catch all the action live tomorrow on the Clement Manyatela Show from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. on 702. We'll be covering discussions with the world's brightest minds in science, technology, and innovation. From bold ideas to sustainable development insights, it's inspiring content all round. The G20 Research and Innovation Working Group and G20 Ministerial, 23rd of September on 702.
Weekdays on the highway, weekends on the trail, in rain, on tar, or halfway up a gravel pass. With the new Bridgestone Jeweler All-Terrain AT002, you don't have to choose. Bridgestone, prepared to perform whatever the terrain.
702.
Travel.
9 minutes to 2 o'clock. This travel feature is brought to you by Flight Center, your center for travel. And in today's travel feature, we pick up on the conversation we started last week with Iga Mutilska, who is founder of igajourneys.com. Don't worry, primemediaplus.com, or download the app to hear about the best ways to save money while traveling. Part 1. This is part 2. Iga, happy Monday. How are you doing?
Happy Monday. Money, money, money.
Money, money, money.
Yes, let's talk about how to save moolah ahead of the holiday season. I know that everyone loves the great deal.
Okay, so which one are we kicking off with? Because, I mean, for everybody who didn't find part 1, please make sure you tune in. There's some valuable tips there.
Yes, certainly. So today we're going to be picking up on whether it's worth booking a trip in shoulder season. That's obviously the period between peak season and off season. And very often traveling during this time can offer a good balance of good weather and lower prices. But Relebogile, I do want to say sometimes it might be a hit or a miss. So I think it's really worthwhile doing your research. For example, I did a 5-day hiking trip through the Andes in Peru for my birthday a few years ago. And it rained nonstop for 4 days. We were absolutely soaked on this hike. And luckily the sun came out on the final day at Machu Picchu. But I do think it's something that you need to do thorough research on depending on your destination. But very often, for example, the shoulder season in Europe would be traveling from late October to November or in early Feb and March. In Asia, it's generally during the peak of summer. And during that time, it can be really hot and humid. So I guess essentially you just have to see and weigh up the pros and cons and see what kind of sacrifices you're willing to make to save a little bit of money.
Okay, and I think it's such a big one. Like, one of the things I always say to myself when traveling is, where do the locals hang out? Because sometimes the overly touristy places are the ones that are quite pricey.
Certainly, it's so important to eat like a local. And, ask at the hotel or at the Airbnb or at the local coffee shop. This is one of the best ways to skip tourist trap restaurants with inflated prices. Very often if a hotel or a restaurant or a coffee place goes viral on social media, they try to capitalize on that, and sometimes they can have inflated prices. So I think something that I absolutely adore doing is seeking out local markets and street food stalls at nighttime markets or small little eateries, around the corner. And so often this also offers so much more of an authentic culinary experience. Something that I did ahead of my trip to London recently, because we know what the pound is like, I bought a whole bunch of non-perishable food and snacks and things, from the store here. And so when I was traveling and all of that between meals, I would just snack on something local, whether it was like dried fruits or nuts or something. And obviously, you need luggage space for that. But sometimes if you're really on a tight budget, that can help. And I also want to say to have a look at free activities. I was really pleasantly surprised that many of the museums in London, for example, had free entries. And that really, really helped with budgeting. And certain countries or destinations might also have a certain day where all of the attractions are at a discounted rate or their museums are free. So that's really a great way to do that. And then sometimes you only have to pay extra for a special or a temporary exhibit. And then obviously looking at places like public beaches and parks or free walking tours where you simply pay a tip to the guide depending on what you think it's worth. But obviously it's always worthwhile researching, what that average rate should be. I also highly recommend trying public transport. So when we were in Athens recently, believe it or not, I asked AI to help me work out, what would be the best in terms of coming from the airport and traveling around, because we know that very often some of these most popular destinations have multi-day passes. And that's usually for unlimited travel on buses and trains or subways. And so often it could be for 3 to 7 up to 21 days. You very often also have the option to travel out of peak time using public transport for cheaper rates as well. So I think that certainly if you're not really, really rushed for time, that's a great way to save some bucks as well.
All right. And then what is the next tip for us?
So I would also say try to book ahead of time once you have pinned down your travel dates. So when we were in Athens recently, we were doing some independent travel ahead of our NCL cruise, and so we explored the city on our own, but we left the planning a little late. So the tickets to the Acropolis were sold out. And I was like, there is no ways I'm not showing my dad the Acropolis. So the only ones that were available were on third-party vendor sites. And so often these are at an inflated price. And you have this perceived notion that you get added value because they might include something like an audio tour. But in actual fact, it's at a grossly higher premium, and it's really not worth it. So if you know you're going to be visiting a very popular site, book that ahead of time. And also look at any loyalty discounts. So check if attractions and museums or tour operators have any discounts for kiddies or students, seniors. Very often they also have discounts for members of the public who are differently abled as well. And I really do suggest signing up for some loyalty programs as well, especially if you travel frequently, because you might get various savings, discounted upgrades, and other perks as well.
I absolutely love that you can also just find some good deals and specials for December holidays, like Flight Center's got the bundle and save promo, where you're able to head over flightcenter.co.za and click on deals and you'll see the different things. Iga, which are the other ones?
Yes, so follow credible travel agencies and airlines on social media. That's really great because, they'll have advertisements ahead of wave season and Black Friday deals. So I recommend, as you mentioned, Flight Center, there's Thompson's Travel, Travel Start, Intrepid Travel, and Trafalgar. Those are just a few. And do sign up for newsletters for these various travel companies because often they send out fixed rate packages or early bird bookings ahead of the festive season. So that certainly helps as well.
And then finally, Black Friday deals and wave season.
Yes, so I would love to do a segment on this. I think it'll be super helpful. We'll talk about some of the things that are coming up. But again, wave season for the cruising industry, they generally have their discounts on from about November to March for international cruises. And then, of course, we know we've got Black Friday coming up, Cyber Monday and Tech Tuesday. So we'll have a look at those more in depth as well. But I also recommend all-inclusive packages, which very often go on sale at that time. And it's great because it's bundled with flights, accommodation, meals and drinks, certain activities as well. A great way just to be conscious about your budget ahead of time. And for South African travelers, Mauritius, Seychelles, Maldives, and Zanzibar are definitely top of our list for all-inclusive packages. But be sure to read the T's and C's in terms of any exclusions that might not be be in that cost as well.
Like refund policies as well in case something happens. Thank you so much. Iga Matilska, head over to eagerjourneys.com to find out more about her travels. Now, dreaming of your next getaway, whether it's a sun-soaked beach escape, an adventure-packed tour, or a luxury cruise, Flight Centre is your center for travel. That is right. From flights and hotel stays to tours and cruises, Flight Centre's got you covered. Need travel insurance? Flight Centre's got that too. Looking for the best deals? Look no further. At Flight Centre, they make travel easy, affordable, and stress-free. Visit your nearest Flight Centre store or online at flightcentre.co.za. Flight Centre, your center for travel. It's 2 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Mikey Molapo. National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola says Police Minister Senzo Mchunu abused his powers by issuing the instruction to disband the political killings task team without consulting him and the KwaZulu-Natal top cop. Masemola is testifying at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry sitting at the Bridget Mabandla Justice College in Pretoria today. Masemola says Mchunu could have suggested the disbandment of the task team and initiated a conversation with himself and KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi around his reasoning thereafter. The National Top Cop claims that the decision to issue the instruction was an encroachment on his powers by Mchunu.
To go further to say disband, but then after saying disband, then you go further to say now, not even tomorrow. I think that is totally encroachment into the mandate of the National Commissioner in terms of performance of my duty.
In KwaZulu-Natal, the Richmond local municipality has described its slain former municipal manager Busiso Stole as a dedicated public servant. Stole was killed allegedly for wanting to expose corruption in the municipality back in 2017. His murder case is now nearing an end with Sabelo Pewa, the man convicted of his killing, set to be sentenced tomorrow. The municipality says while it awaits the sentencing, it will remember Stole as a loyal public servant. Richmond local municipality mayor
He diligently served Richmond with all his heart. He was so passionate about community development. Somehow he left the bold mark.
Ngongo says Stole executed his duties very well.
Under his leadership, we had sound governance. Under his leadership, we had sound political and administration governance. We had stable financial management.
The National Health Laboratory Service has admitted that although it's processed more than 12,000 biopsy samples, it's still waiting for a final sign-off from pathologists. This means a number of cancer patients are still in the dark about their results. Earlier, the service denied it had a backlog with biopsy sample testing, but today it admitted a shortage of pathologists has contributed to a backlog. Jabli Lembata has more.
The Democratic Alliance's spokesperson on health, Jack Bloom, sounded the alarm about a backlog of more than 12,000 biopsy specimens dating back to 2024. Today, the DA visited Charlotte Maxeke Hospital in Johannesburg to meet with the National Health Laboratory Services. Previously, lab officials told EWN there was a backlog of 1,540 unprocessed specimens, but today, NHLA's executive manager Elise Sharpkids admitted that in addition to this, there are 12,000 tested specimens which still need a final sign-off. She says they do have a shortage of staff.
There are 4 anatomical pathology platforms in Gauteng, but CMJ is most impacted because CMJ is not just receiving work from CMJ, but is also the catchment area for 15 hospitals. CMJ receives about 4,000 cases a month.
She adds each pathologist deals with about 40 cases per day. Jabuli Lembata, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg.
Parliament's House Chairperson Cedric Frolick has read the Justice Committee the Riot Act over its inability to reach political consensus on a report recommending a new Deputy Public Protector. This despite the committee announcing in April already that it will recommend Advocate Dinky Dube to take up the job. The Public Protector's office has been without a deputy since Koleka Kaleka began acting as Public Protector in June 2022 before her permanent appointment to head the office in November 2020. 2023. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
More than a year ago, President Cyril Ramaphosa directed Parliament to begin a process to recruit a new Deputy Public Protector. This after the first process during the previous administration was scrapped. Since announcing a preferred candidate in April, the Justice Committee subsequently bumped heads over the outcome in a fiery meeting in May after the EFF's voting rights were called into question after not having participated in the interviews. The MKP rejected the recommendation and the DA reserved its rights. Parliament's House Chairperson Cedric Froelich says the deadlock has turned into a game of political brinkmanship.
When committee meetings are called to discuss the matter, the quorum collapses because parties don't want to come to a decision. Now, that is unacceptable. We need a report that must come to the House and the House must give direction.
The same committee is also in a stalemate over the appointment of a new SA Human Rights Commissioner. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
And President Cyril Ramaphosa says geopolitical tensions and ongoing armed conflicts in parts of the world are among issues he plans to raise at a table with global leaders in New York today. Ramaphosa arrived in the U.S. earlier for the 80th United Nations General Assembly, which officially kicks off tomorrow. He's expected to spend the day participating in the two-state solution high-level meeting convened and co-chaired by President of France, Emmanuel Macron, and Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Faisal bin Al Saud. Talks include urgent calls for interventions in the ongoing genocide in Gaza, conflicts in Sudan and the Democratic Republic of Congo, as well as the war in Ukraine and other geopolitical tensions. Speaking on his arrival in New York, Ramaphosa recommitted to championing robust multilateralism, peaceful resolution of conflicts and the unwavering protection of human rights.
It's wonderful to see so many countries surging forward to recognize the state of Palestine. So we'll be participating in that and holding bilaterals with a number of other countries as well as meeting business people. So the highlights are many and having a business forum with businesses that are interested in investing in South Africa. That too for us is important.
Gold's trading at $3,724.39 an ounce. The rand's at 17.29 to the dollar, at 23.34 to the pound, at 20.38 to the euro. Brent crude oil at $66.20 a barrel.
Heading towards Alberton, that's in the Germiston area. Traffic remains sluggish. N3 southbound between the Geldenhuys interchange and Elands. Also driving through Calvin, heading towards Midrand. Slow-moving traffic. N3 northbound, this is between Marlborough Drive and the Butlu interchange. And finally, in Erasmus Park, we're still dealing with that accident scene on the N1 northbound near Rigel Avenue, slowing down traffic all the way from Botha Avenue.
And look at your weather. Clear skies in Gauteng this afternoon. Temperatures are peaking at highs between 27 and 30 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour. National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola says Police Minister Senzo Mchunu abused his powers by issuing the instruction to disband the political killings task team without consulting him and the KwaZulu-Natal top cop.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Relebogile Mabotja
Live, streaming countrywide
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Nine minutes after 2 o'clock, the second and final hour of 7:02 afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja. And I have to read this message. I made a comment when we opened up the show to say I am American news fatigued. Like, dis genoeg man, gonze. And Leraton Centurion says, Lebu, I'm also American news fatigued, but we need to be removed from that group chat and let them handle their own issues. Our energy is needed in the Maglanga Commission. Re utlwile ke dipolotiki tsa Trump, asbonge, says Lerato. I am feeling it, and we can't seem to leave the WhatsApp group because wherever you look, American news politics. But I did see somebody who said, guys, wherever you are, remember you aren't American. Your own country needs you and your energy. We know that the voice is very loud, but we have our own problems in our own various countries to solve. Coming up in this hour of the show, Parenting and Parents, we are talking about what happens to boys when men behave badly. Jaco van Schalkwyk will join us for that conversation, founder of the Character Company. I want to hear from you, parents of boys, caretakers of boys. You could be a teacher, a grandparent, and men especially. I want to hear from all of you. What have you experienced in your life? How did what you observed dictate what you decided to do in your own life? And then the Naked Scientist, you can already get your science-related questions in early. Give us a call, 011 883 0702, SMS us 31702, tweet at Relebogile M, at Radio 702 using the hashtag 702 Afternoons, and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
Parenting and Parents
on 702.
Parenting and Parents time. Today we're talking about boys and what happens to them when men behave badly. 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. And for this conversation, we're joined by Jaco van Schalkwyk, the founder of the Character Company. Jaco, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. It's wonderful to be with you guys again.
I was really fascinated about this conversation we're going to be having, because whenever we think about the concept of men behaving badly, it is usually in the context of what that does to women or girls. And we don't speak about what that does for little boys and young boys. And I think in many ways, we speak about the challenges that women are facing, but we are also very much aware of the challenges being faced by men and little boys with just finding their place and their voice in the world that we're living in today.
That's great. And I think, it's important that we start focusing on the things that are important and that we can change and can fix. And it doesn't mean that we're having this conversation and it takes away from the conversation that we acknowledge that the way that men behave in our country makes it difficult for women and children and other men. But I think it's important that we start understanding and recognizing that the boy child is being neglected in so many ways, and it's got such a big impact. And we need to really, really start intentionally playing a role in that space.
So chat to us very quickly about the Character Company and some of the work that you do.
Yeah, thanks. So we're a long-term mentorship program for young boys that are growing up with absent fathers or where there are no positive male role models in their lives. So we start with boys in our program from as young as 5 years old. And then we do a long-term program. So this is not a 6-month course on how to deal with an absent father or, how I'm going to navigate the world without positive male role models. This is a long-term process. We've just celebrated some of the first boys that have left school and become junior mentors in our program. And we are very intentional about this. And so it's a positive male role models that we use. We call FAT guys, faithful, available, and teachable. And these are trained and vetted and screened mentors that look after a group of boys, minimum 2, maximum 5, and see them on a weekly basis. And it's an afternoon session program. It is camps on weekends. It's adventures. It is when the wheels fall off at school and I'm being bullied or I'm struggling, mom is struggling with discipline issues. So in all those spaces, these men step in and saying, we don't know necessarily the exact details of your challenge. We don't have the answers for it. But the one thing we tell you is you're not going to do this alone. So let's hook arms and we are going to walk this journey together. And I think that is at the core of this, what changes it. It is a program that shows boys that they are worth fighting for. It shows boys the heart of God. It shows boys that there's a different way to behave. And I think especially in the context of what we're discussing, it shows boys that every time we get all of these negative influences in our life, there's this compass that keeps on pointing me through a value system and through men that want to be different. And I can see that they're different, pointing me into a direction that is different from what we see in our country, but a kind of lifestyle that is values-based. And when I sit down with boys and I ask them, what is the kind of man that you want to become? When you're having coffee with a 10-year-old older version of yourself, what is that boy or that man going to say? That's what we're aiming towards. So that it's no longer a space where everything goes and, everything the way it is just fine.
I have to ask a question, Yaku. I think it was a week or so ago. We were having a conversation, and I was asking the question about around what is a man, what makes a man, outside of anything related to woman. And I used the example to say, often when we think about relations and gender roles, a man would describe himself as, I'm a protector, I'm a provider. And I'm so curious, and I'm not sure if that answer has been found yet, but what, in your view, Yaku, and in your teachings, do you share with young boys makes a man a man?
So I think for me, it's a very simple process. It is a values-based lifestyle that is focused on being vulnerable, being accountable, and being committed to be the best version of myself. Because if I'm vulnerable in spaces where I surround myself with a group of men that is going to be loving me and caring for me, a place where I can open up about the stuff, I can take off the mask and I can talk about the real challenges that I face, then I can start living a life where I'm accountable. So I'm accountable to those men in my life, and men that will call me out in a loving way, not criticize me, but call me out for the things that is outside of my value system. And I can make a commitment to be the best version of myself. And for me, that is what we see through the program. As we raise boys in that space, we understand that is what makes the difference.
All right, we're going to take a break, Yaku. When we come back, we continue. I'd love to hear from all of you gents that are listening in terms of the contributions when we do say, or when it is said, that young boys are being left behind. What do you observe, and what do you feel when you were a young boy you were missing and lacking in your life? Some of you may have even had a father in the home that is present, but you still felt like there was something missing. 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Tata Morero, when were you expecting to construct this new pipeline, the one that's been constructed this morning by Joburg Water? I mean, did it have to take the residents to protest for 2 weeks?
There's no project that has to start as a result of a protest. In 2025, this year in June, we set aside in our budget 800 million that we're investing in the area. Also building a reservoir there, which will be concluded and handed over end of October.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
All South Africans have the responsibility to ensure that the environment is clean, green, and habitable. Make a conscious decision to stop buying plastic bags with all your purchases. Use reusable bags every time you do your grocery shopping. Help look after our country's biodiversity by cleaning up the areas around you through organizing or joining local cleanup campaigns. Act now. Throw it in the bin. Don't litter. Don't dump. Keep South Africa clean. This message is brought to you by the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment.
Could I courier this toy carrot that my son glued his baby teeth onto?
For sure. We're your guy. How about a strip of slightly used duct tape? Yeah, we're your guy.
And this spoiler for my quantum.
Chief, we're your guy. With over 4,000 fast and flexible ways of couriering your parcel, locally and internationally, whatever you need couriered, we're your guy. The Courier Guy. Visit thecourierguy.co.za.
Every day I'm hustling. It's our reality as business owners. And it's good to know that there's someone out there who takes care of the business that makes the business. Gotta love My Way Business Insurance. Saving big on premiums with 24/7 emergency services, plus My Business Assist with marketing, legal, and labor advice services.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Running a business is tough. You need tools that just work. That's why more South African businesses are switching to Mac. At iStore, we make it easy with 4,000 rands in added value when you switch. That's 3 years extended warranty and remote tech support, leaving you to focus on everything else. Switch to Mac with iStore, your expert partner. T's and C's apply. Mac at iStore. Run smooth as business should.
Looking for real ways to live greener? Then don't miss Green Tip of the Week, your weekly dose of sustainable inspiration. From eco-entrepreneurs to climate champions, we sit down with the people making real change. Catch Green Tip of the Week every Tuesday on Afternoon Drive with John Perlman from 3 to 6 p.m. only on 702. Proudly brought to you by Volvo. It's safe to be brave with Volvo.
Parenting and Parents
on 702.
We continue with our parenting and parents features. We talk about what happens to boys when men behave badly. We're joined by Jaco van Skalkwyk, the founder of the Character Company, where they're doing some phenomenal work with boys, particularly those growing up without fathers. And mentorship is offered, and emotional support rooted in values like your courage, kindness, and accountability. I want to hear from all of you. Audible 1 8830702 in the WhatsApp line 0727021702. Jaco, so let us talk about the influence of men on younger boys that maybe they're not even necessarily aware of.
So I think there are two things here. I think the one is where men behave in a way that they're not necessarily realizing the impact. But then there's obviously a huge amount of men, and I'm not saying men only, but for the work that we do and what drove me to write this article is men that are just behaving in horrendous ways, and regardless of what people are seeing from that, and not actually caring that there's an impact of it, or maybe not even realizing that what they're doing actually impacts another generation. And I think the question we have to ask ourselves is, like, what are we doing? I mean, like, where are we taking all of this? We pretty much live the kind of lives like we think no one is watching. No one is watching us, and no one is taking notes of this. And we have to consider the impact of everyone around me. And so this goes from the dad. Let's take a moment of just looking at the statistics here. 70% of our kids are growing up in single-parent homes. Right now, we were part of the State of the Fatherhood report last year. Less than 30% of boys are growing up with an intentional biological father in the house. And I'm telling you that figure is probably less than 10%. That means that where there's fathers that are so intense to raising a boy, that are having conversations, that are checking in on their son, that knows their friends, that knows what's going on at school, that knows what are the challenges in the online spaces and what goes on there, that kind of dad. So we're looking at a massive part of the population that don't have that. So you have a boy that stands next to his dad or playing around when his dad is watching a sports game and cannot string a sentence together of 5 words with more than 3 swear words. You're having a dad that stands around a fire or having good time with his friends, and his son is listening to conversation where there's swearing, where there's bad language or bad jokes about women, and those kind of things has an impact. We're looking at stuff where, as a nation, the way we behave and what's in the news today with regards to the levels of corruption, the level of people just getting away with stuff and not caring, how we all across the board are hiding behind our cultures, behind our income brackets, behind whatever, to try and justify the bad behavior. And the thing here is, it's not about saying that we're not allowed to make mistakes. All of us make mistakes. I'm going to stumble and I'm going to fall, but what's important for me, especially as a single dad with my daughter, is that my daughter understands firstly that I've got feet of clay, that I make mistakes, but that when it happens, I own up to them. I can have conversations about, you know what, when I flew off the handles in traffic today and you were sitting in the back seat, or I was busy on my phone when I tell you not to be in traffic, that was not right, and I need to own up to it. I need to be accountable to that, because if I'm not, then I'm setting a scene where everything is okay and we can get away with everything. And I think that's the problem that we're facing, is we're having young boys and young men that are looking at this, and they're looking at us and the way we behave, and they're going, well, then that must be okay. I don't have to work hard. I can just take a bribe on the side. I don't have to have good language. I don't have to talk respectfully about women, because that's cool. I mean, I remember as a young child standing next to a brieflace fire and looking at these older men and thinking, oh man, I would love to be like these guys. But my goodness, I mean, the amount of alcohol consumed there and the language and the jokes and stuff. I mean, at what level do I then get if there's no positive male role model in my life that walks the road with me? How do we expect young people to go, that's actually just not the way I want to live. I don't want to be that kind of person. I don't want to be that kind of husband or that kind of father. And I think that's what we need to start understanding, and how how we can start changing that is what needs to be our focus. That's the WhatsApp group we need to be on.
Yeah. And I think you've articulated it so well, because if that's all that is seen, I mean, I've heard of many people who would say when they were growing up, the people that looked like were successful were criminals. So they admired those individuals. And now if a child is seeing something but nobody's explaining or having a conversation with context, it's a whole different thing. Pretty says, what is the age limit that Character Company caters for?
So we start as young as 5. So the typical impact is that where a father's got the highest impact is between the ages of 5 and roughly 12. When a boy is older than 12, it gets quite difficult, and it's on a case-by-case basis, unless it's part of an existing program, either in a community setting or a church setting where there's already a relationship and a youth worker or a community worker wants to get involved as a mentor, and we will then use those boys into the program. There's no end to this. Like I said, we've just had our first boys coming through and finishing school. And so the culture of mentorship here for us is very important. Is where we continue a process where the conversations change. At the end of the day, we want to live lives where we are vulnerable, accountable, and can make commitments.
Another one says, have you seen social media comments from men and their views on gender-based violence, single moms, independent women, etc.? We need a reset in society. I don't know, from your view, Yaku, I have seen what this person is referring to in terms of and I think it's part of a different conversation as well around the anonymity, because I think a lot of the things that are being said are just because you're anonymous, but the fact that it even crosses your mind is something else. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Yaku.
Well, part of it is, again, where we have to create a culture where we can explain to our young people that being a keyboard coward is unacceptable. I don't jump onto any platform, use the excuse of free speech, or I can say whatever I want to, and not own the consequences of that. We have become, if you just look at any group, you look at a community group I live in a gated estate, lots of people here, and sometimes I look at the groups and I'm thinking the amount of hatred and anger that's out there that gets displayed on these things, because I can put it down there and I don't have to own up to this. It's unacceptable because we've become used as a society to that. I don't like the comments, so I can obliterate someone on it. I can say whatever I want to because there's no accountability. No one is holding me to account there, which is probably one of the biggest problems in our country, is the lack of accountability to any one of us. And so in those cases, one of the things, and I think we've got for me, I've got this inherent issue with the injustice of things. And so it's almost like the moment you see that you want to say something, you want to react to it, and to teach our young people and ourselves to walk away from those things and say, well, what am I doing with that? So if I can jump on something like that and I can say all kinds of horrible and hateful things, or I can take that energy and I can walk into a space where young people are sitting and saying, this kind of conversation needs to be different. That's not the way we talk. We don't use this kind of language. We don't use this kind of hate. Where's your value system? Do you have a value system? Let me help you with that. Then I take that energy and I put it into the right places, because otherwise it just becomes someone's call, someone, I remember when the men are trash conversation started.
Yes.
And I had to consider, I don't like to be called trash. I don't fall in that category. But then in all fairness, they're obviously not talking to me or about me. So why do I need to get involved in the conversation? Why do I have to jump up there and try and prove something when there's reason to be upset about it? But I get to change the conversation if I behave differently.
There's a question here, and I don't know if you want to get in on this one, Yaku. They're asking, why is it only important to boys? Why not girls as well? I think it's quite obvious from what Yaku had shared, just in terms of the need. But Yaku, maybe you can respond. Why was it so important for you that little boys, young boys, have role models that are men in this program, and that you didn't say, well, girls also who don't have dads need a space?
Yes. Well, because we're working with boys, and I'm a boy myself, so I think that's probably the first part of it. The impact on girls is probably even worse. The question that a girl walks around with as a young young girl without a father is horrendous. I mean, it creates a horrible environment for girls as well. And so we're not saying that boys are more important or that we elevate boys and therefore, lower the status of girls in the conversation. We're just saying we are boys. I know the space on how to deal with boys. I can mentor boys because I understand that, and that's where our focus is, because we have to stay in our lane. We can't be everything for everyone. I've got a daughter, and I understand that I cannot be a mom to her. I can be the best dad I can be. And I say that to moms. It's not because you're not good enough. It's just because you're not dad enough, and we have to accept that. And so I've often said this, if there's, we've got a great platform and a great process and program, and if there are women out there that wants to use this to mentor girls, that's great. But we need partners in that. We can't do that. And so just in short, the answer there is not boys are more important. It's just like we are focusing on that because there is a lack of focus on the boy child. We are ignoring the fact that boys are going through a whole lot of stuff as well, and they're growing up differently, and they're growing up isolated because there's so few safe spaces for them, and because there are not positive male role models or enough of them around. And that impacts girls, it impacts boys, it impacts everyone. And so if we can fix that, it means I can use my own experience growing up with an absent father as a boy to be able to change that and change society through that process.
How can people get in touch? I've got so many saying I want to enroll my nephews. And I think also it would be great for men that are available to come through, go through the process of assessment and see if they're also able to volunteer, Yaku?
Oh, definitely. I mean, we need everyone to step in on this. I mean, this is something where we need everyone to go, that conversation can be handled differently. How do we do that? As a mom, perhaps I can't step in that conversation. Maybe my time in that space is over, or it's not right now. Where do I get the positive male role models to step in there? How do I get the men in my life to become positive male role models if I find that there's a gap in there? So that's so important. For men, we have to go, man, I need this. As a dad, I need this. I need to be surrounded. I need to see my blind spots in this. How do I change my own behavior if I'm not even aware of it? How do I change the conversations with my son? And so everyone has to get involved. And the best way to do so is finding organizations where there is a platform and it's safe, and the Character Company is one of those. Unfortunately, I still do not know of another organization in our country that does long-term mentorship from as young as 5. Would love there to be, but in the meantime, please make contact with us. Go to our website, thecharactercompany.co.za. Have conversations. Talk to us. I mean, the restoration of masculinity is so important.
So the Character Company, and I'm sure everybody will be able to find you on the socials. We are running so late for news, but Yaku, thank you so much for your time. Time for latest Eyewitness News headlines. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Relebogile. Good afternoon. We begin in the capital, where the KwaZulu-Natal Political Killings Task Team are seen as a highly successful unit that is unmatched when it comes to resolving crimes. National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola made his feelings known around the work the task team were conducting while testifying at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry in Pretoria today. The task team has been a focal point of the explosive allegations set out by KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi in July. The Gauteng Education Department has explained to Operation Dudula that it has a duty to cater for all children, whether they are documented or not. Operation Dudula has been going to a number of schools around Soweto today, telling them to stop enrolling pupils that are undocumented foreign nationals. And Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper says she has warned Israel not to annex parts of the West Bank in retaliation for the UK's recognition of Palestinian statehood. This comes as France and other European states are expected to join the UK, Canada and Australia in recognition of a Palestinian state. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the move is giving a huge reward to terrorism. Those are the headlines. This Eyewitness News and more at 3 o'clock.
EWN Traffic.
Erasmus Park, Pretoria. Traffic remains heavily backed up. This is on the N1 northbound approaching Rigel Avenue due to an earlier accident. Also slow-moving traffic in Irene on Almapius Drive approaching Main Road. We still have slow-moving traffic. That's in the Calvin area heading towards Midrand. That's the N3 northbound between Marlborough Drive and the Butlu interchange. Also, look out for those faulty traffic lights in Edenvale, Modderfontein Road and Van Riebeek. Traffic lights still not working in Alex at Marlborough Drive and Far East Bank. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
702. Serving the 702 family in 702 land, including those of you in the vibrant neighborhood of Rosebank. Rosebank has undergone a major facelift in recent years. There's been an extensive redevelopment of shopping malls and the construction of new corporate headquarters, apartment blocks, restaurants, and hotels. Its residents and visitors are served by the Gautrain. Rosebank is also known for its thriving art scene, with numerous galleries and the Keys Art Mile showcasing local and international talent. 702. Let's walk the talk across 702 land, including Rosebank.
Traffic is trafficking. The robots aren't AI, but more like an eye roll. And service delivery isn't delivering. But luckily, Takealot is. Shop anything from beauty and sport to tech and toys at everyday low prices and get it delivered to your door faster than you can get home, even when you take the back roads. A delivery so quick, the speed thrills. Halala with no limits. Just the open road of happiness before you. Takealot. Happy delivered.
At the heart of global conversations shaping our future, Africa's voice is more important than ever. As proud lead sponsor of the B20, the Standard Bank Group is honored to showcase the continent's growth, partnerships, and potential on the world stage. Because driving Africa's growth isn't just our ambition, it's our purpose. Tune in every Monday from 3 p.m. for the Standard Bank B20 In Brief for key insights and updates around the B20. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We're also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comment, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we're not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission, PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
Pretoria is buzzing as the world's brightest minds gather. The Department of Science, Technology and Innovation is hosting the third G20 Research and Innovation Working Group and Ministerial meetings on 23 September. Tune in to 702 as Clement Manyatela brings you all the action live tomorrow. Catch groundbreaking discussions, bold innovations, and ideas that will drive sustainable development. From science breakthroughs and technology trends to innovations shaping our future, it's inspiring insights all round. The G20 Research and Innovation Working Group and Ministerial meetings, 23 September on 702.
Coming up
on 702 Drive with John Perlman.
702 Drivers coming up from 3 to 6 p.m. with John Perlman. Happy Monday, John. How are you doing?
Good, doing well. Thank you. Happy Monday to you and good afternoon to all the listeners.
What makes a good neighborhood for you, John Perlman?
So, I was listening to some of the things that people said. I also took issue, by the way, with saying, you don't want kids on the street playing soccer. I thought that's what sign of a good neighborhood to me. But anyway,
yes,
that we all see it differently. So I like a neighborhood that's mixed in all sorts of ways. And maybe I'm speaking of the smaller kind of community that I live in, which is a block of flats. But more generally, when I go to the mall and everything, I want to see a range of ages. I want to see a mix of races and cultures. I want to have a good gender mix, age mix. It's that for me is very, very important. To feel that I'm living in something resembling, what the country is like. Mm. So that is something that I find interesting, and I would notice it if it wasn't the case. You really don't want stuff breaking all around you.
Right.
It does get very dismaying. In the area where I live, there appears to be a department of dig up the road and leave it there, but there doesn't appear to be a department of finish what the road was dug up for.
Can somebody
and fill in the holes? There's one example of that close to where I live, and it's on my cycling route, so I see it at close quarters. I think it's been like that literally for 4 years. So that stuff on a certain kind of day can be utterly demoralizing.
And I hate, because as you say, sometimes the city has to come and like dig on your lawn in the front,
Yes.
which technically they own.
Yes.
But after they dig, they don't put things back. You guys lift bricks and you don't put it back. So when you said somebody digs a hole and then just leaves it there, it's literally the epitome of this isn't my job. I only got paid to open the thing.
Yeah. No,
Oh.
it sends out dismaying signals.
All right, what's coming up on your show now that we're annoyed again about something
Yes,
else?
that's true. And I came in here, I said, oh, don't get annoyed about things. Anyway, but here we go. But sorry I annoyed you.
Yes.
7:02 drive this afternoon. Obviously, strong focus on the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Two angles. One, will get Oren Singh just to update us on what happened. But then, Police Commissioner Fani Masemola has made it very, very clear that the Minister of Police did not have the right to stop the political killings task team. But I think it raises many questions about him and the way he does his job. I mean, if somebody came there, told him to do his job, why are we only hearing about it now? And would we have ever heard about it if it hadn't been for General Mkhwanazi? And I think we know the answer to that. The answer is probably no. Story that I spoke about last week, Relebogile, enhanced games. There is going to be a games. I won't grace it with the name Olympics or World Championships or anything, where people can take whatever drugs they like. We'll talk to Dr. Ross Tucker, who is a sports science expert. We do that at around 10 to 4. Business Unity South Africa is challenging aspects of the Employment Equity Act. We hope to speak to them in the course of the show. And then we're going to ask people to tell us about jobs they do or jobs they have done that either have shown them the very best in people or the worst.
Ooh. Interesting.
And it could be the same job, just
Yes.
a different day.
Showing the best in people or showing the worst in people. I would imagine those are around service-related types of jobs.
Well, they might be, but also if your job has you deal with the consequences of people's bad behavior. You may not be serving the perpetrators, if I can use that term broadly, but you may be dealing with the consequence of what they've done.
Ooh. We'll be tuning in for that one. 7:02 Drive with John Pullman coming up from 3 to 6 p.m.
7:02.
The Naked Scientist.
Time for the Naked Scientist at 18 minutes to 3 o'clock. Get your science-related questions in early. 011 883 0702 in the WhatsApp line 072 702 and 702. Happy Monday, Dr. Chris. How are you doing?
I'm in fine fettle. How about yourself?
I am doing well, a lot better than last week. The change of season clapped my sinuses so bad. Like, wow, you think you get used to the change of season, but you just don't get used to it.
No, but also what the change of season does is it makes people move differently, and I mean move around the planet. And we know that the biggest driver of infectious outbreaks and infectious diseases is actually the academic year. It's the school year, because people spend their summer holidays or their winter holidays at home or in a different crowd, and they may spend that time internationally as well. And then they all return en masse and all get together and cluster en masse in classrooms, which are basically a crucible from which we forge the killer viruses that then people take home to their parents and infect them. And then the whole cycle starts off. So the strongest driver of outbreaks is the academic school year. So that's what we're all looking forward to here in the Northern Hemisphere, because flu season will kick off fairly soon, and all the other seasonal suspects are going to rear their ugly infected heads and start spreading. And we're already beginning to see that happening because all the schools have gone back.
My goodness, that and toddlers licking each other at creche. I still don't understand why they need to lick, but here we are.
Well, everything goes in your mouth. I mean, it's human. It is literally human nature. And part of the argument for this is if you look at the size of the brain that's devoted to different parts of the body, there's a structure or a configuration or a model we call the homunculus, homo as in man. And if you were to draw a person with the size of their body parts proportional to the amount of brain tissue devoted to supplying that body part, you don't get a normal anatomy of a person. What you get is a huge head and a massive mouth, enormous lips and tongue. You then get a scrawny neck, tiny upper torso, a massive pair of hands on scrawny arms, and then absolutely nothing down to a big pair of feet and a massive big toe, because that is where the brain puts all of its efforts into decoding what's going on in those body parts. They're the areas we explore the environment, that we feel things, interrogate things, or make fine movements. And so the brain needs lots of territory, lots of nerve cells devoted to processing information from that part of itself. So therefore, that is why you see kids putting everything in their mouths, because where is the biggest brain territory devoted to? Tongue and lips. Where can you learn the most? From your mouth, which is why we tend to smell things, put things up to our face and put them in our mouths, especially when we're little and we're less aware of what the consequences of doing that might be.
All right, the lines are open. 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Victor in Jozi. Go ahead, Victor.
Yes, good afternoon, the scientist. How are you?
I'm good, Victor. Go for it. What do you want to know?
I just want to know what really kills a victim in a bullet. When the bullet strikes a victim, be it an animal or a human being, what it is exactly, seeing that the bullet is so small, what it is that kills the victim.
Yep.
Thank you.
Well, there's a couple of things here, Victor. One of them is that, and you're quite right, a tiny bullet that if it's, say, a rifle bullet, it's going to be millimeters across. Why is it so devastating? And there are a couple of things to consider. One is that you don't need a very big hole in a big blood vessel to empty your body of blood very quickly, because the pressure inside your blood vessels and your arteries means you will force all the blood out of your body very, very quickly. So first and foremost, you don't need a big bullet to make a small-ish hole that's of significant enough size in a blood vessel to do serious harm. So that's the first point. The second point is these projectiles are moving at a very high speed. Therefore, they have a massive amount of kinetic energy. When they hit you, they don't pass cleanly straight through every time. What many of them are designed to do is actually to splatter like a mushroom when they hit you. And it's a bit like being punched very hard, but with something with massive amounts of energy. So the shock wave that they send through your body is what does most of the damage. And you'll notice that when someone is shot, for example, or an animal is shot, the entry point for the bullet may be very small, but look around the other side where it's come out. And the exit wound is often enormous, showing how the energy has gone in at one tiny point and then spread out with a ripple effect through the tissues inside the body, tearing them to pieces. So although a tiny projectile goes in, the shockwave and the energy imparted to the tissue as it goes through is enormous, and therefore it does devastating damage to everything within a particular radius of that projectile, tearing tissues to pieces, ripping connections between nerves and muscles, tearing out blood vessels, lymphatics, and smashing cells to pieces. And that is why it is so devastating. And if you look at these sorts of wounds, as I say, you'll very often see a tiny entry point, but then a very big zone of destruction, both inside and on the opposite side of the body.
Thank you so much for that question that's come through, Victor. We need to take a break. When we come back, we go to more of your calls. I see Obed and Rueda, as well as those of you on the WhatsApp line.
This is Jade. She'll spend hours comparing almond milk and once made a spreadsheet just for sneakers. But when she found Santam, SA's leading short-term insurer that offers a range of cover options, from vehicle to building and home contents, even she didn't overthink it. The kind of freedom Santam gives you takes some getting used to. Speak to your broker. Santam, this is freedom. Santam is an authorized FSP, a licensed non-life insurer and controlling company for its group companies.
This September, Joburg Theatre brings you a powerful mix of drama, music, and dance. Dancing the Death Drill. adapted from Fred Khumalo's acclaimed novel, tells the tale of Pitso Mutaung, a South African soldier forever changed by the tragic sinking of the SS Mendi. The cast features Kwenzo Ngobo, Tuli Tabete, and Clint Brink, with choreography by Luyanda Sidia and original music by Msaki. This is a story of love, loss, and remembrance. Catch it from 9 to 28 September 2025 on the Mandela stage at Joburg Theatre. Dancing the Death Drill, a moment in history brought to life. Book now at joburgtheatre.com.
This master doesn't just start. It wakes up. Anticipation. The wheel settles into your hands. Seat and mirrors adjust. You didn't ask. It just knew. Then the 3.3-liter turbo diesel clears its throat. And suddenly, you're flying, weaving through sunlight. Goosebumps on your commute. The feeling will find you in the Mazda CX-60. Wonder awaits.
702.
The Naked Scientist.
10 minutes to 3 o'clock, we continue with Dr. Chris Smith with The Naked Scientist. 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line 0727021702. Obed in Kempton Park, go ahead.
Level. My question to Dr. Chris is, now, what causes someone to develop cramps, when someone is sleeping, but all of a sudden your muscles begin pulling, because we think that the cramps are caused by especially physical activities on the pitch, But now you're sleeping, all of a sudden now muscles begin pulling, I don't know, what causes cramps when someone is sleeping?
And that thing is so painful. It is painful, yo.
It certainly is. And it's also more common as we get older. You see quite a lot of older patients who will come to the doctor saying, I keep waking up at night with leg cramps. And we sometimes give them quinine, which is the same stuff that we use to treat malaria, which can give some people some relief. Some people will say it makes it a bit better. But first of all, what is a cramp? Well, a cramp is an extremely painful, sustained contraction of a muscle, but not the entire muscle, usually just bits of the muscle. And we think that what's happening is that for some reason, signals originating in the nervous system have activated the muscle, or the muscle has activated itself, but not the entire muscle, certain squads of fibers in the muscle called one motor unit. And these are not following the normal rules that muscles follow to regulate the extent of their contraction. Because what normally happens when we activate a muscle is a signal comes down a motor nerve, it turns on the muscle gets shorter because it contracts. That shortening feeds back to the spinal cord and says, I'm getting shorter. You can reduce the drive, which is coming from the muscle, the nerve. There's also a receptor in the tendon for the muscle, which works out how much force the muscle is generating. And this also feeds back to the nervous system and says, this is the amount of force that's going through the muscle. This is the danger level. You're getting close to it. This is your maximum. So I'm going to turn down the drive from the nervous system. And in this way, you regulate how fast and how hard muscles contract, and you maintain them at a constant length. But when we have a cramp, that system goes out of the window. The muscle doesn't obey those normal controls, presumably because either the muscle is discharging without any control from the nervous system, or the nervous system is discharging without any respect or heed to the normal control mechanisms, and it drives this sustained and extremely powerful excessive contraction of part of the muscle. Now, one of the reasons why this can happen is if we have an electrolyte disturbance, and Obed said this is often seen on the pitch. And what he's getting at is that when the chemicals like sodium and potassium in the bloodstream that also are used in our cells to control action potentials, which are the electrical discharges that send signals down nerve cells and make muscles contract, when those levels go awry, which can happen in extreme exercise or certain circumstances like this, then this can provoke this happening. So what's going on in an older person, or what's going on at night? Well, it might be that there is an electrolyte disturbance in an older person. It might be that the nervous system or the muscle itself has become electrically more reactive than it should do. And in either case, you get these painful contractions. And quinine might be working because one of the actions of quinine is it blocks up the channels that sodium, the salt, goes through. and it might therefore change the excitability of the muscle tissue and the nervous tissue a bit, and that is how it is affecting its effectively is controlling its sort of cramp suppressing activity. We sometimes use similar drugs to regulate heart rhythm, for example, the relatives of quinine, to do the same sort of thing. So that might be how it's working. But to be honest with you, no one knows for sure.
All right, there is a question here on the WhatsApp line which says, Doctor, is it true that it takes 21 days to break a habit?
I haven't heard that one, but I think what they're getting at is, what is a habit? A habit's a learned behaviour where we've got into the habit of doing something in a certain way for some reason, and if you want to get out of a habit, you've got to reprogram your brain, and you've got to break the cycle, because usually we do things habitually, there's that word again, where we do it in a pattern because something makes us think along certain lines, which makes us do a certain thing, which makes us do a certain thing. And you've got to identify what the triggers are for that habit and then unstitch them or unlearn them or break those associations. It might be a drug habit where something makes you want that drug. That could be withdrawal symptoms, or it could be out with friends. It could be doing a certain thing or seeing a certain thing that makes you think of a certain thing. Either way, you've got to retrain the connections in your brain that say, when this happens, don't do this instead of do this. And that will take time, because humans are extremely good at learning from associations. For instance, there was a bright flash and a rumble of thunder, and I know that that is lightning, which goes with that thunder. I connect the two in my mind. So in the same way, if you want to break a habit or unlearn something, you've got to separate the two and not act on the impulse from the trigger. And that takes time to do, and some people will never be able to do it. There are some things which are very, very difficult habits to break, but we can break them, because as humans we are intelligent, and we can work out what's going on, and we can substitute one thing for another, for example, to find a way around the problem. But I hadn't heard anyone putting a time limit on this of 21 days. I'm willing to accept that it takes about that long, but I think for certain habits, as we all know, there are certain people with certain habits where they're never going to break them, or because they have an underlying neurological problem, or whatever the thing they're doing has such a hold on them that it may take a lot longer than 21 days and a lot more input than just a bit of willpower to help them to overcome it.
All right, Buitumelo is asking, why does a parrot think like a human being?
Why does it think like it or sing like?
I think they meant they said think, but I think they meant speak or sound. But they typed think,
because obviously what we can't say is that a parrot does think like a human, because a parrot is a bird, and although it can imitate speech, you can't have a conversation with a parrot to try and probe why it's thinking, because it will produce these patterns of speech, but they are merely mimicry. Birds are really good mimics. The way they learn their songs in the first place is listening to other birds and then copying them. That's how a bird learns to sing like other birds of its species. Parrots are extremely good mimics, so they listen to the sounds we make. They don't know what they mean. They just know that they can produce those sounds and sound like whatever they want to sound like. And as a result of that, they trot these sounds out, but they don't seem to do it in response to things, or they don't do it meaningfully. They just produce them as a sound. So I don't think we can honestly say that the parrot knows what it is saying. It is merely doing a mimicry job. Because it's heard us produce those sounds, we are part of its flock, because they're our pets if they're living with us and they're copying us, for example. Therefore, they are doing what they would do in the wild, but treating us as the thing that they're copying rather than another parrot.
That makes total sense. Dr. Chris Smith, thank you so much for your time.
Experience extraordinary with the new iPhone 17, 256 gig from Vodacom, Zanzi's winning 5G network. More delightful, more durable, and now available. Get yours on a 3 gig Red Core plan from $899 per month over 36 months, plus a free extended warranty. Be the first to get it today. Available in-store and online. T's and C's apply. Further together. Vodacom.
The Heart of Standard Bank Joy of Jazz 2025 beats loudest on the Dinaledi stage, proudly powered by 702. Esperanza Spalding shines alongside Tandin Tuli with Black Elijah and the Children of Moreo and Sax Queen Lakeisha Benjamin. Feel the soul of Nomfundo Kaluva, the power of Steve Dyer's vision of Ubuntu, and the big band fire of Siama Kuzeni with special sets from Andile Yenana and Cameron Ward. It's happening September 26th to the 28th of September at the Sandton Convention Center. Tickets are selling fast via Ticketmaster, so you can get yours now. The Dinaledi stage at the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz 2025, proudly brought to you by 702.
Let's count backward. 5. Insurance. 4. Pineapple. 3. Insurance. 2. Pineapple. 1. You're under. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
Thank you for joining us on 702 Afternoons. It's 3 o'clock.
This is EWN.
KwaZulu-Natal Political Killings Task Team hailed as unmatched in resolving crimes, and Operation Dudula disrupts schooling in Soweto. Good afternoon, I'm Maiki Malapo. We begin in the capital, where National Police Commissioner Fani